Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today I want to talk about why I no longer play these games. And that's what the title is today is I don't play these games. And the reason that I want to talk about not playing games is because I believe that I've created two equations here that represent how to determine a person's wife material level or husband material level. And what made me want to do this is, well, mainly for for my own understanding of the dating market, and also just where people are at in general and how they understand what to value and what not to value. Because it seems to me that a lot of people just don't really know that people in relationships are the meaning of life, really the purpose in life, and to develop those relationships. If anything, that's exactly what Jesus taught us, and what religion is trying to teach most of the time. And any kind of spirituality is not just it's not just about us, it's about the communion. And I don't mean that specifically with religion per se, but I mean the communion as in the unity of humanity. So, ladies first, shall we? So this is the equation that I've come up with, and you'll see here that in the circled section there's a few different letters that equal up to wife material. So the DL stands for delusional level, the FL stands for femininity level, and then the AMWGL stands for average modern woman glamour level. And you take the delusional level plus the femininity level minus the average modern woman glamour level, which equals the wife material level. All of these are based on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, how do you determine a delusional level of a woman? Well, it's determined by how much she deflects accountability or reliability and responsibility, as well as reality. The femininity level is determined by how fit, cooperative, friendly, submissive, longer hair, sexy but modest, and she doesn't nag. The average modern woman glamour level is excessive nails, treats relationships as jokes, promiscuous, meaning she has a lot of skin showing, she's loud or swears too much, she smokes too much, drinks too much, party girl, crazy hair colors, or a single mom. I understand some people may be triggered by this, but know, women, that any man worth his salt is not going to want to be with a single mom. I know that sucks, and I do not want the children to be... I don't want the children to be, hurt in that relationship. But understand that for a man, there's really not a lot of... There's all responsibility and risk and very little reward. That being said, also continuing on with the party girl, lots of piercings or tattoos, validation seekers, any kind of combative or argumentative person as well is an average modern woman glamour level, or she's on her phone all the time. Now you can also see here that I have the actual scale of 1 to 10, and when you actually implement the equation, you can go anywhere between, let's say your delusional level is 3, and then you have a feminine level of 6 or 7, and then your average modern woman glamour level is like a 3. So right there you have about a 6 or 7, roughly speaking, of what you would be on this scale. And anywhere between 0 or 1 to 3 is considered the good luck level. The 4 to 10 is the anything could happen level. And then the 7 to 10 is the wife material level. So that is the how to determine a wife material with this equation here. The males, on the other hand, are, now it's the same kind of process, very similar process. Obviously, there's just a few different things, but I do think that the way to determine a husband is simpler to some degree. And note that I'm not saying that like this is the marriage material level for each husband and wife. I am not saying that you have to get married in order to be a complete human being. I'm not saying you have to be married in order to be loved, because this is something that I mentioned in the last video and somebody commented was that the point of love is to return to it and not to fall into it, because when you fall into it, that's when you lose all logic and grounding and rationale. With that being said, so men here, they have their equation here, which is the wealth level plus whatever the masculinity level minus the simp level equals the husband level. And the masculinity level is determined by confidence, intelligence, capability, whether he's fit or not, generous, productive, and purpose. The wealth level is, now this one was a bit tricky because I went off a lot of statistics for this determination. So any male that is making $20,000 or less, I counted as a 1, and anybody making $100,000 or more, I considered as a 9 or 10. The reason being is because most of, and this is in U.S. dollars, by the way, for anybody that is outside of the U.S., this is U.S. dollars. Anyone that is making over $100,000 or more in the U.S. is in the top 10 to 15% of yearly income for a family. So that's why I had it as 9 to 10. The simp level, now for those of you that don't know, a simp is basically a guy that puts a woman on a pedestal, or puts wanting to get laid on a pedestal for the sake of getting affection from a woman that really doesn't want him. It's like over validating the woman just because she's a woman, and over giving her so much attention that it's like he comes off as like the quote unquote nice guy, right? This is also a factor of what's called one-itis, which for those of you that have not heard of one-itis, right here. So one-itis is basically where you cannot get over one girl as a guy. And I think it's also very important to note, as like for any women that are watching this, men love differently than women, and women love differently than men. And I know that some people are not going to agree with that, but it really is true. And something that I heard recently was that, or no, I read it recently. That's what it was. Here in the Rational Male book, which any man out there, I highly recommend this book, just so that you understand more of the culture that we live in the West, and really how to navigate the terrain of dating in the West, because there's a lot of people out there that really just it can be kind of rough out there. Just watch your back and make sure that you're putting yourself first, men. That's for sure. So the The scale though for men is different for the husband level, because you can actually be in the negatives in this equation that I've created. The scale ranges from -8 to 19. And anywhere between 0 to -8, I put as the not a chance in hell level. It's just, it's my experience that there's no woman on the planet that will ever date or be intimate with somebody that she finds very like you can be a really nice guy, but if you don't have masculinity, if you don't have wealth of some degree, and if you're a super big simp and you just pedestalize women, there's no way you're going to be able to be anywhere near women. It now looks also do play in a factor for this, but again, this is the strict husband level material and the wife material level. So then anywhere between 0 to 19 is the anything can happen level. And then anywhere between the 10 to 19 level is the husband level. Now, the reason for this is because let's say you have a wealth level of like 5 and your masculinity level is like 6 or 7. So you're doing okay with the masculine level and you're like average with the wealth level. And your simp level is very low. It's like a 1 or 2. And that means that you're automatically in the husband level. Sure, you're on the lower end of like 10 to 12, but you're going to be in the husband level. So I also want to give a shout out to anybody that has found this information useful or has found some utility in it. I do hope that this provides some kind of understanding or perspective of the society that we currently live in, which is a post-marital society. I do believe that that's the case at this point. I'm not saying that it's not possible to find, or not impossible. Well, yeah, it's not possible to find marriage. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm also saying that it's, I mean, good luck out there, man. Like, good luck out there. As a guy, there's just a lot of risk going into marriage right now. I don't think a lot of women know this, but like 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and at least in the West. And more often than not, their children, like the men's children, are taken away from them. They don't have custody anymore. There's a lot of delusion around what it's like to be a man in today's society. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be strong or you shouldn't be strong as a man. You definitely need to be. And make no mistake, you're going to have to be. Like, that's just the time we live in. It sucks. Sucks for you, man. Like, it sucks for you to live in this kind of time period where reality and authenticity is looked down upon, and it's almost like the facade. Anybody that has the mask and the facade is more virtuous than the person that is actually striving to be the best version of themselves. And that's just the time we live in. And there are going to be people that don't want you to be the best version of yourself, because that means that they while they're eating pizza and playing video games or watching The Bachelorette or whatever, you're working and you're grinding away. And they don't want to feel bad about their poor choices. So they project onto you their insignificance. And I think the best thing to do is to ignore it, or at least to just stand up for yourself when you need to, and ignore it otherwise, because who cares? Who cares what they think? You're the one that's actually focused. You're the ones that's actually determined. And The thing is like, I would rather fail 1,000 times and succeed at the very end than to go through my life never trying at all. And that takes not just physical courage and mental courage, but it also takes stamina and trying new things and being willing to fail. I think that's another big thing that I've learned recently is being willing to fail and being willing to learn from the mistakes the best that you can and get as many different perspectives as possible, because the most important thing to do right now in these times that we live in is to let go of what no longer serves you. And some of you, that's going to be family. Some of you, that's going to be close friends that you thought were close for quite some time. Some of you, it's going to be people that have been there for you in the past, but now that you're changing and you're trying to be more accountable and hold themselves accountable, they're not going to want to be around you anymore, or they're going to try to like coerce you back into the sins that you used to participate in. And that's just where we're at. And know that you're not alone, and that there are people in this community that I'm creating that are going to be with you, and you're not alone, and you don't need to fight this fight alone. This is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual battle, and we may lose battles here and there, but this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. With that being said, may peace be with you. Till next time.